Hey everyone, just picked up this old Duracraft 8-inch bench grinder. I bought it as not working. Person said that they just replaced the capacitor in it, and it did work, but then they fired it up the other day, and apparently it didn't. So it's a Duracraft. It is a Chinese-made model, but it is a industrial rated model. It's 1 horsepower, which is quite a bit. Most of the time, these are usually half horsepower or a third horsepower or a quarter horsepower. So 1 horsepower is a pretty powerful grinder. So basically, what it's doing is you flip it on, and it is running a little better than when I first got it. But as you can see, just running really slow, but it is picking up speed. Not sounding super hot, but I think it's maybe just a connection issue. And you can see there, it is actually going better than, this is better when I first turned it on. So I'm gonna take this apart. I might just kind of quick clean it off first, and then I'll start taking it apart. And I don't know much about electrical motors. I know basically how they work with the windings and all that, but I've never fixed them before, so I'm hoping this is something fairly simple. Maybe there's an issue with the switch. The capacitor was just replaced, but it could have been replaced incorrectly depending on, who replaced it. I'm not sure. So yeah, I'm going to tear into this thing and see if I can get it fixed, and I'll bring it back when I get it torn apart. Okay, got it all taken apart. Did some checking around, and it's actually surprisingly well made for what it is. It's a Chinese bench grinder, like most of them are these days. This one's obviously older. I'm not sure how old this one is exactly. I'd estimate it, I don't know, probably 25, 30 years old, maybe older. I'd have to do some more checking on it. There is a model number on here, so I'll have to check. But took it apart. Everything looked pretty good. I suspected the issue was in the switch, and I think I might have fixed it when I was in here. The contacts in here weren't making. Here, I'll show you like this. The contacts in there weren't making good contact, and now they are. I broke off one of the leads here, so I put a new crimp on there, onto that connector. I might end up just replacing the switch, but for now, I'll see if that was the issue. I think that was maybe the issue. The motor, the windings, and everything looked pretty solid. Everything it's epoxied in there and whatnot, which is what you want to see. The bearings were coated in this. It looked like Crisco. I think it was just basic axle grease. And I cleaned that out of there, and I put some Lucas red and tacky in there. Probably not the best oil to use for that, but a lot better than what was in there. You could barely. They wouldn't even do this. I mean, they were. These bearings probably need to be replaced, and I may replace them. But I was surprised to see that they were actually, NSK bearings made in Japan. So good bearings. So I might end up just getting replacements. They're probably not very expensive, so I might just end up replacing the bearings in them. So yeah, coming along pretty well. I'm gonna put it back together really quick, just to see if it's fixed, if it works now, and then if it is, I might clean it up a little. It doesn't need to be painted or anything. It's actually in pretty good shape. So yeah, I think I'll just kind of quick wipe it down, all the parts, and then I'll put it back together, and then see if the switch here was the issue. So I'll show you guys once I get it back together and hopefully working. All right, as you see, I got to put it back together, and I turned it on. I will spare you the dramatics. It works. It Now I can only turn. I'll turn it on here in a second, but I can only turn it on for about 10 seconds or so because it seems like it might be a little unbalanced, but also this. Keep in mind this is 1 horsepower, so being on this wood bench probably isn't the ideal platform for it. So I might end up having to make a separate bench. It's also missing. There's some little rubber feet on the base down here, and it is missing one of those. So not a big deal. I probably will just go get some heavy duty ones and replace those. I should be able to find something that works. So I'll quick turn it on, and as I suspected, it was this switch. It just wasn't making good contact. So when you flipped it on, it just wasn't making good contact. So it would come on, hum, but it just wasn't getting all the power through. So the switch is fine. I was thinking about just replacing the switch, but I'll probably just keep it on. So let me turn this on for a minute so you can see it run. It has a lot of power though. It's not the 1/4 horsepower, 1/3 horsepower grinders that you buy at Home Depot or Lowe's. It's not the same as that. So this, I might have to get a stand for this. I would rather not do that. I'd rather just mount it on the bench, but I don't know. Here, I'll show you what I'm talking about here. So yeah, it gets to vibrating. Some of that's I think because that foot's missing, so it starts doing this, and there's so much power there that it's too much for this workbench. It's not heavy enough, so the bench isn't. So it seems a little unbalanced to me, but I think that's just because of the the missing foot and the fact that it's shaking around on the table. So I'm not sure. When it slows down, especially, you can see there was a little bit of play. So I'm gonna have to play around with that. It might just be these grinding wheels, or I don't know if you can see that it's worn off more to that side. I don't know if that affects it at all. I wouldn't think so, but it's possible. It mainly just needs to get mounted onto something more solid. But there you go. I paid I paid $20 for this thing, knowing that it didn't work. They said that it just turned on and it would very slowly turn. So based off that, I kind of had my suspicions it was an issue with the switch. But again, I'm not an expert on electric motors or any of that, so I couldn't really confirm that. But took it apart. Sure enough, the switch seemed a little wonky, so I cleaned it off, bent the little switch tabs in there, and then so it made good contact. Cleaned the actual contacts off. I just took a file and just made a couple passes on them, cleaned them off, so they make good contact, and now it works. So $20 for an industrial rated 1 horsepower bench grinder. That's pretty good. So I'm happy with this thing. This will definitely work good for what I need it for. I'm probably gonna get these grinding wheels are they're still usable. The finer ones in a little bit better shape, but I might just put 2 new ones on. I don't think they're that expensive. So there you have it. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna clean this up a little bit and figure out a way to mount it. So yeah, there you are. If you have one of these and it's acting up, check the switch.